hosts. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to BC Talks Speech Showcase. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Akil, and I am so excited to serve as one of your hosts for this event. I am a freshman pursuing an education in professional pilot technology, and the purpose of this event is to showcase the wonderful public speaking capabilities of our student body. And in collaboration with AHCD Pathway, Arts, Humanities, Communication, and Design, BC Talks Committee, made up of speech faculty for all campuses, have coordinated this event. We would like to thank all the communication administrators and members of BC Talks Committee. Today, we will focus on the theme, we are one, coming together for social justice. So, in the recent years, social justice issues have demanded our attention because we have become more socially conscious with recent controversial and unpleasant events. What is social justice, you may ask? Social justice promotes fairness and equity across many aspects of our society. Each day, we have become more aware and informed on how equality does not apply to everyone. And during the showcase, students will be able to share social justice issues that only that not only affect them, but they are also passionate about. So let's begin the showcase and to introduce each student, presenter, and performer. I would like to present my co-host, Annalie Chacon Gonzalez. She's currently studying to become a dental hygienist.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Annalyn Chacon. Are you ready to start? We will start with our first presenter. Her name is Camille Plummer. She's currently studying biochemistry, and she's going to perform a spoken word with the title of The Mother of Social Injustice.
There exists the mother of all social injustice that unfortunately does not serve as a catalyst, but as a chief variable that affects our everyday choices, small matters and big ones. An injustice that exists from the beginning of time. And though we have evolved in advancing extremely as the years progress, this issue remains. Like a perpetual yoke put on the bearer, forsaken and forgotten. I speak of the injustice suffered by women, mothers, who for generations have borne the yoke of mankind at the cost of society's indifference. Why should mothers suffer more? Hey, wasn't labor bad enough? Yet every day, and throughout their entire lives, they have to choose to make man be or to let be. Easy, right? To let be, fulfill their dreams and aspirations, their dream profession, and attain their full potential. Or to make man be, to bless mankind by giving life to me and you. Why should it ever be a choice for bestowing the precious gift of life? A woman, a mother, should have both, right? The injustice exists because society has made such an inalienable right almost impossible. You think I'm speaking hogwash, don't you? Just last week, I heard my daughter's teacher heartbreakingly expressing to the class that it was officially her last week. I darted to the computer, It cannot be. Oh, say it's not so, I pled with her. She expressed that it was officially her last week. She had to take a leave of absence to stay home with her 2-year-old and her 4-year-old children. The school district advised her that if she was not a high risk for COVID, she needed to return to the classroom. Let me tell you about Miss Rudder. In my home, everyone wears headphones. Oh, but not my daughter in her class, because her voice reverberates love and kindness with a playful iridescence that captivates as it edifies. No doubt, she dreamt of the day when she would be a teacher. But now, she has to choose between her dream or putting her children in daycare. So much for progress. Society's indifference, the yoke that ensures that a mother's definition of comfort is always between a rock and a hard place. We need to effect change, and change we must. For every person who is born, who dares to dream, and for every dream realized, remains a mother, yoked and left to rejoice in the fulfillment of every dream other than her own. Society need not do much to change. Instead of indifference, empathy. Instead of a yoke, solidarity. When every girl, woman, and mother can let be and make man be, it will cure the ills of depression, anxiety, abandonment, abortions, poverty. You see where I'm going with this? Because don't we all know that in the home, when mom is sad, everyone is. I see a future through your efforts where every girl, woman, and mother can live in a society that sustains their choice to let be and make man be without sacrificing either, wherein they rise as with wings of eagles in a society where no life is ever considered a mistake or unwanted, and every life a blessing, and every mother's dream actualized. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Camille. Now, our next presenter is Gerard Bonito, and he's going to perform a persuasive speech with the title, Take a Knee.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Well, my topic is why sports teams should knee during the national anthem, and my question is, do you feel safe in America? All over the country, sports teams has been taking a knee during the national anthem to fight against police brutality and to get justice, and also racism is still a big problem in our country. Since 2016, Colin Kaepernick has taken a knee during the national anthem to fight against police brutality and to get justice. Young Black men in America are 9 times more to get killed by police. And so far, through the first 8 months of 2020, 164 Black people has been killed by police. And in today's age, half of the shootings are caught on camera and it still doesn't matter. The officers will get away with it. And one story I want to mention is Nicholas Cruz, when he shot up Stoneman Douglas High School and killed 17 people. And that was over 2 years ago now, and he still hasn't gotten convicted for that. And my question is, I always ask myself, what if he was Black? You know, he would have got convicted real quick. And the moral of the story with these sports teams is like, they're not trying to disrespect the US flag or the US soldiers. They just want peace and unity and justice, most importantly. And back in April 2020, we all remember what happened with George Floyd when the officer had his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And that was unnecessary. And imagine that was you trying to breathe for that long. And right after that, everyone started protesting and wanted justice for him. And George Floyd isn't the first person who has died from a police officer who is Black. We all remember what happened with Rodney King in 1992 with the LA riots, and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and even Emmett Till. And he still hasn't gotten justice for that. That happened in 1955. And people who are saying leave politics out of sports, I feel like that's wrong. And people like Donald Trump who are saying that, I feel like people like who are seeing what's going on and turning a blind eye doesn't want change in America. And I feel like America is based on, freedom and justice, and that hasn't happened for Black people really since slavery. And that's why you see the Black Lives Matter movement is so strong for justice, and the Black Panthers back in the 60s. And one example I want to mention is Drew Brees. I don't know if you guys know him. He said it was un-American for people to not stand for the flag. But once he said that, a lot of people got on him for that. And even his teammates was telling him the reasons why we're doing this and that is because, how America has been treating Black people in this country for so long. And finally, he understood that. So I just feel like these sports teams should have every right to take a knee during the anthem. And another example is I went to a football game like a month ago, and I told my parents I was not gonna put my hand over my chest and say an oath that these people are supposed to promise me this and my people this, and everyone in America that, and they're not really giving no one, Black people, justice or anything. So I feel like once America is shaken up, gets better and everything, that's when people are gonna start, standing up again. And a lot of people are starting to realize, okay, this is the right thing to do. If they're not gonna give us this, we should, protest and everything. And I don't agree with the looting and everything. I feel like these protests needs to get better, but it's like at this point, what else do we have to do? People are so upset and they don't want to stand for the flag anymore. They just want to do whatever they want. And the right thing to do is take a knee during the anthem and just fight for justice and peace. And even outside of sports, people like, Tupac Shakur, he got body slammed by a police officer for jaywalking. And the rap group NWA, they talked about how the police would pull them over for no reason because of their skin color and everything, and the way they dress. I feel like for a long time, Black people has been treated so bad in this country, and enough is enough. It's like we're looking for justice and peace. We're not gonna stand by an oath that you guys promised us anymore. And the time is that, And yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Gerard. Now, our next presenter is Casey Tapan, and she's going to perform an informative speech with the title Understanding Homelessness. We can hear you, Casey.
Okay. Ew, look at that homeless person. Who would want to be homeless? Why don't they go get a job? The homelessness in this world is rampant. It's out of this world. There are two reasons people become homeless. First, abuse and alcohol, or second, because they come home from the military with PTSD. Recently, I took a trip to Los Angeles, California to go visit my little sister. When I got off the plane, I took an Uber to her apartment, and I've never seen so many homeless people. There was tents down streets. There was blankets made into forts. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. They had a whole street called Skid Row just of tents. Living in California is already a very expensive state to live in. So if you lose your job, if you don't have money, and you have nowhere to go, you become homeless. In 2017, there were 554,000 homeless people in the United States. The homeless population is increasing each and every year. What is still up for debate is whether homelessness causes substance abuse or substance abuse causes homelessness. A lot of the time, people become homeless due to the abuse of drugs and alcohol, and it takes over their body, and they can't contain jobs, they can't keep money, and they get so caught up in the drugs that they like it, so they just keep doing it. It's like with anything you do. You start something, you like it, you keep doing it, whether it's good or bad. It's easy for most of us to imagine how abuse of drugs can cause us to be homeless. After all, drugs and alcohol become more important than your work, your health, your friends, your family, your relationship. It would logically follow that they might lose the importance of social and economic effects in their lives. In October 2016, Florida Coalition reported that 1 out of every 227 Florida residents become homeless. Coming home from the military can be a really crazy thing. It's scary, but I think that the government should mandate that every time a military person comes home, they should get assessed for PTSD when they arrive. Post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, can take a toll on a lot of people and make them homeless. PTSD is formed when a traumatic event happens or you see something that is shocking. For example, I have an older brother, he's in the military. A couple years back on the 4th of July, there was a loud boom that went off, a firework, and he got startled. He was so scared. He had to walk out and take a deep breath, and it was kind of shocking to me. It was crazy. I couldn't believe that was happening to my brother. In 2018, I met this guy named John. My family and I went to go feed the homeless, and he happened to be homeless. Not really did he have to be, but he had such bad PTSD that he couldn't stay in his home. He had a phone, he had a home, he has children. They talk to him every day, and they still have no idea that he's homeless. He's a very good guy. To enclose my speech, I just wanted to say that if someone you love, or you especially, see someone homeless and you think, ew, look at that homeless person, or ew, what's wrong with them? You should think twice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Casey. Now our next presenter is Lyric Meredith. She's currently studying music management, and she's going to perform a narrative speech with the title My Culinary Resume.
Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. Verna Myers. I believe diversity in media is something that is so important to a democratic society. When I was 6 years old, once upon a time, I watched Ratatouille. It's about Remy the rat that loves to cook, but is blocked by a rat-phobic society. He then forms an alliance with a young adult to cook in an actual restaurant. Remy is racially ambiguous because he's a rat, so anyone can project themselves onto him. Seeing a character when I was that young really planted the seeds to who I became today. 3 years later, when I was 9, I watched Princess and the Frog in theaters. Princess and the Frog is about a waitress that is desperate to fulfill her dreams as a restaurant owner. She's Disney's first Black princess, as well as their most hardworking princess. Watching a Black princess be interested in the things I was interested in really made me so happy and start actually pursuing the culinary arts. Hence, around that time, I asked my father for some lessons. He started giving me those lessons, and then he took advantage of those lessons to help him cook every night. Fast forward some years later, I went to the Epcot Food and Wine Festival for my 16th birthday. Other kids have big, elaborate parties. I just ate a lot of fancy food and drank. That was probably the best time I've ever had at Disney. In my senior year of high school, I decided to try out for a regional cooking competition scholarship. I never had any formal lessons before. I had to come up with a recipe, so I chose to take it full circle and do ratatouille pasta. I won the regional and the state competitions, and I got to fly out to Kentucky for nationals to represent Florida. And the state competition was the scholarship, so I got it. So after all of that, I decided I was going to go to culinary school for college. There was a great school, Johnson and Wales, that was close, and it was my first choice, so I committed. So you're probably wondering, why am I here? How did I get here? You're at Broward College. I dropped out of my after my first trimester. I loved my experience there and I loved learning everything, but the industry is harsh and there are no off days. You get in at 6 a.m. and you leave at 2 a.m. and your whole body aches. After discovering this, I decided I was gonna pursue culinary arts as a hobby rather than a career, but who knows, maybe I might go for it later in life. All that to say, I'm a big advocate for diversity in media. Media and reality are a reflective cycle. If you show different people doing different things to a more homogenous audience, those audiences will be familiar with those concepts. I want every type of kid to see people like them and kids like them be interested in the things they want to be interested in because that's what they deserve. Ultimately, what I'm saying is maybe if I saw a Black girl doing classical music when I was younger, I would have known what I want to do today. Now I'm getting a music degree. Who would have guessed my parents could have predicted the future to name me a lyric? But I've never seen a Black girl do classical music on screen or in a book. Finally, social justice is seeing diversity in media. Because as I said before, diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. Let's start asking little boys and little girls to dance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lyric. Now we are going to have a musical treat from Military and piano player Jem Amable. The title is Rise Up by Andra Day. Thank you so much, Jem. Now, our next presenter is Kyle Williams, who is going to perform a spoken word with the title A Boy is a Gun.
Oop, you can see me? All right. I am the gun. Look, check close up. Smile in front of my barrel. Ooh, smile right now because your life is the one that's in peril. Because I'm screaming black power, black power, black power every hour. Black power when I speak on any podium or tower. Black power to them bootlickers who bower. You pimple-faced, piggy-headed, damn cowards. Black power Monday through Friday. Black power my weekends. Black power my spirit. Power to my deacon. Black power one more time because you might have forgot that a boy is a gun and will get shot. So back up and pry your hands on that noose and glue your eyes to this TV. You see me dead on the news, him, her, and them too. We was all just buying Skittles and juice. It's scared, shop at the corner store, dodging shady folks, bullets clanging, dancing on the floor. I'm tired. Look, I'm angry. This too much. I can't take no more. Wounds that won't heal. It's a long list, ever expanded, despite all our demanding. Those cops were still only charged for the bullets they missed. It's the life that was missed. Instead of life pretty damage, her life was less of a cost. Police, they did it. Description, they fit it. Conversation, I'ma end it. If you come up to me and use this tool and become this fool, bring up the past, how one time they was in class, sneaking in bathrooms with Jews, not following the rules, smoking all this weed, stop it, cut it out. Don't even proceed. Come on, Cameron. Face it. You, the system, the police, this country, y'all all some racists. Ain't no more woulda, coulda, shoulda. Dang. Ain't I let you know twice already the boy was a gun? So don't be surprised when we catch this bang, bang, bang. Smile out.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Now, our next presenter is Simona Favora Diaz. She's a freshman and she's going to perform a positive speech with the title The Death Penalty.
Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about reasons why the United States should abolish the death penalty. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, since 1973, more than 170 people who had been wrongly convicted and sentenced to death in the United States have been exonerated. In the last 120 years, 8,776 people were executed, and almost 300 of those executions went somehow wrong. 3.15% of those executions involve problems during procedure, such as the wrong dosage of lethal injections, difficulties in finding a vein, or being strangled while hanged instead of breaking a neck. Now imagine it is someone you know, someone who was in the wrong place at the wrong time and was accused of murder. Most of us don't even have to imagine this, but some people experience it, such as Jesse Tafero. He was wrongly convicted and executed via electric chair in Florida in 1990 for murdering 2 patrol officers. His execution went wrong 3 times, and during the procedure, his head caught on fire. 2 years later, after the crime scene recreation, the investigation overturned the conviction because new evidence indicated that another person had committed these crimes, but it was already too late. There is no doubt there are irreversible mistakes in a human justice regarding to the death penalty. The death penalty is a final punishment. Killing can never be right. So how can we support and allow the government and state to kill others? According to the Death Penalty Information Center, more than 100 nations have abolished the death penalty in recent years. Besides that, the death penalty has been completely prohibited in the European Union. I was born in Slovakia in 1988, the year before the communist era ended, and democracy, independence, and peace were restored. And one of the first Slovakian steps as a democratic country was abolishing the death penalty for all crimes. And this was in 1990. As one of the world's greatest nations, we need to ask question whether the United States should still carry out this unpleasant punishment. I believe that the death penalty should be abolished in the United States because it's not a justified example of democratic society and values. There are other problems than executing innocent people. For example, problem with lethal injections. The combination, dosage, and shortage of appropriate drugs have lately become controversial subject, whether a usage of lethal injections has been too painful and risky. Pharmaceutical companies have been refusing to sell drugs to prisons, and drugs have become less available. Many states have not been able to discover an alternative substitute yet, and they have been under tremendous public and financial pressure. Secondly, the Freedom of Information Act states that everyone has a right to access government record. So the primary focus of this act is to guarantee that in a democratic society, people stay well informed. However, there is minimal knowledge about administrators of lethal injection, companies that distribute them, and prison staff who implement them. There is no statute that requires a secrecy, but generally, the lethal injection protocol is confidential and outside the possibility of public record request. Another problem is moral issue, whether the death penalty is human. The 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution declares excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fine imposed, no cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. But what is the correct meaning and explanation of the word cruelty, and how do legislators measure this action against inhuman treatment? The Constitution does not ensure a painless death to a prisoner. Moreover, the death penalty cost the United States an enormous amount of money due to longer trials and more lawyers because a person's life is on the line. Almost everybody who faces death penalty cannot afford their lawyers, so the state must step in, assign public defenders, pay for their costs and for costs of the prosecution as well. Besides that, to avoid any mistakes, the prisoners are entitled to a series of appeals, which can take many years, and this is affecting taxpayers' money. According to public records, Florida spends $51 million a year in order to impose and implement death penalty instead of sending convicted first-degree murderers to prison for life. Because of all these issues, it is essential to pass legislation making capital punishment illegal in the United States. And what are the approaches? Lately, many states like New Mexico, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Maryland, Illinois, and others replace the death penalty with an alternative sentence, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. This is the first step to end the death penalty and avoid cruel executions. By taking this approach, we can also save a lot of money and invest them in police and other departments and programs to prevent crimes and improve public safety. Secondly, the importance of acknowledging capital punishment as an extreme violation of human rights. International human rights organization, media, promotion of anti-death penalty can raise awareness and help fight this unpleasant matter. Moreover, the questionable concept of lethal injection and its financing can be used as a reasonable argument. Millions of dollars could be invested in helping the families of murder victims instead of funding the lethal injection research. As of today, there are still innocent people in the United States who are sentenced to death. As long as a death penalty exists, legal mistakes can happen and humans' life can be destroyed. As I mentioned before, this is not a justified example of a democracy. And that's why it is a necessity to acknowledge dignity of human life, avoid cruelty, follow other countries, and abolish the death penalty. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simona. Our next presenter is Alanka Brunash, and she's going to perform an informative speech with the title of Climate Crisis.
Hello, my name is Alenka Brunash, and today I would like to speak on the social issue of climate change. Climate change is affecting us as a world, and it is so important for people to be more aware of the issues related to climate change. Places like California are experiencing wildfires at record levels, as well as places in South America, including Bolivia, Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina. Those places aren't even getting sufficient news coverage. As wildfires continue to rage, it is making it more inhabitable for both human beings and wildlife. The air is so polluted that it is causing respiratory complications and sore eyes from all of the smoke. These are some of the many issues related to climate change. Manufacturers seem to care more about their profits and less about the environment. According to InsideClimateNews.org, 25 fossil fuel producers are responsible for 3 decades of global emissions. That is 30 years of harming the earth. The ways in which we are living on a daily basis have a huge impact, from the items we buy to the foods we eat and our lifestyle habits. We depend on fossil fuels for our everyday lives, from heating our homes to powering our vehicles. The use of fossil fuels is truly detrimental to the environment because when used, it releases CO2 or carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, later trapping heat, causing the climate to change. Yet, many of the companies who are in charge of global production and supply continue to use fossil fuels to sustain their profits instead of using alternative ways which are more expensive to sustain their profits. Many of us don't realize that how we live can affect underdeveloped parts of the world. We can reduce our carbon footprint by being more aware of our daily habits, by eating less red meats, reducing the use of single plastic, and wasting less energy and water. In rural parts of Africa, food and water are not as easily accessible as they are here, and we take that for granted. For example, because of global warming, they experience climate change on more of a first-hand basis. When droughts occur in the sub-Saharan parts of Africa, people there have to travel further distances to collect water for their families to eat, bathe, and drink with, things we do not have to worry about here. When trying to cultivate their land for farming and agriculture, the crops are usually destroyed by locusts due to the unusual weather patterns, so they have no food on the table to put for their kids and families. It is so important for people to be more aware of the issues rather than calling climate change a hoax when it simply is not the case. Just because it's not happening to us on a first-hand basis and we're not realizing, or we don't have to go fetch for water, doesn't mean it's not real. Our governments have to care more about the world we are living in and leave behind for future generations rather than their own personal agendas. Although it is true that we have built the economy on the use of fossil fuels, at what cost do we have to see the problems? If we do not have a safe world to inhabit, what economy are we going to have? Money won't matter, stock markets won't matter unless we have our planet. None of those things would have mattered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alanka. Our next presenter is Chloe Dozebo. She's an associate of arts, and she's going to perform a narrative speech with the title Layers of a Taco.
My mother was born in Cap-Haïtien, Haiti, and I was raised in South
We
Florida.
can't hear you. I'm sorry, we can hear you very well.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, better. Thank you.
Okay. My mother was born in Haiti, and I was born and raised in South Florida. Being born in Haiti, she wasn't aware of LGBTQ plus topics due to being an immigrant, and me being aware of such, give me 1 second. Because she wasn't aware of these topics, she was not very into knowing about these people and showed distaste openly. But little did she know, I had my first kiss at the age of 14 with a girl. It was a very weird experience. It was awkward, of course. It's a first kiss. And I wasn't sure what bisexuality was. I knew I was into men and I knew I was into women, but I thought I was just a lesbian because it was my first kiss and it was a girl, not a guy. Being unaware of it, I didn't tell my mom or my dad. I just kept it to myself until internet started to influence my life. I met friends online who were aware of LGBT topics, and they taught me what bisexuality was. Bisexuality is when you like two genders. It doesn't have to be male or female. It can be female and non-binary, male or non-binary, or so on and so forth. Once I figured out what bisexuality was, on Christmas Day in 2016, I came out to my mother. I said, "Mom, I think I'm a bisexual." While my sister was excited and openly accepting me, my mother was mortified. She told me at the age of 15, I didn't know what I wanted, and it was just a phase. And she was more worried about how my family would see me instead of how I felt about myself. This would soon change after I had the worst breakup of my life with a girl. The breakup wasn't mutual, and because I knew my mom didn't accept me, I had no one to talk to. I felt alone in everything that I did. And I didn't have friends to talk to other than my online friends. So there was no physical comfort or verbal affirmations to make me feel better about what was going on, which led me to feeling overwhelmed and my first suicide attempt in 2017. My mother found out that it was with a female that I had this breakup with, and instead of getting mad and telling me it was just a phase and reminding me of my bi-curiosity, she just said to me, "I'd rather be with you through things I don't understand instead of your funeral," which is very important to me. This reminded me that even though she didn't know what was going on, I knew that she loved me for who I was. And with that warm embrace, I knew my mom officially supported me. To conclude, coming out to my mother was like a process. It showed me how much my mom cared, but even though she didn't understand, she tried to, because she just wanted her daughter to be happy. Every now and then, I always try to influence her with LGBT topics. I tell her the news that's going on around. And the more I mention these things, the more she starts to get interested and shows more appreciation for this community. One thing that I find funny, now that I know that she supports me, is she calls me her little taco. Now, this name sounds weird when you just hear it, but it's a reference to a 2016 film called Sausage Party, where the character, who is a taco, is an open bisexual. Knowing that she sees these bisexual characters in films, which is a new thing, she sees these characters and she sees them as, that's what my daughter is. My daughter is bi. And this just, once again, reminds me how I'm her little taco and that she supports me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chloe. Our next presenter is Dean Bonnie, and she's studying business administration, and she's going to perform a spoken word with the title of Reality.
Retiring from the state of confusion, mastering only what's divine, sent through the heart of those who are of simplicity. It's real. Every time I set foot on the concrete jungle, I see the brutality of Blackness, of sexism. It's of my virtue and promises to not hurt those who have given me the hand of faith and of hope. We quickly multiply, we quickly die of this rage and hatred given to us by society, drenched in blindness, entertaining the idea of lust and greed all in one sentence. We become adulterous of the same things we speak against. Where is the solution? Where is the revolution? Where is the evolution? Do we have excuses and hide from the truth? Instead, we blame the mothers who have created this earth, who birthed this earth into this lie we are now a part of. I say this with hope. I say this with my heart. I open my hands. We are not of our pride. We are not of our mistakes. We are not of our skin, but of our teachers. We are of this manifestation of truth and love, not of regress and denial. It's a theory built by our inner gods, our inner goddesses of the earth and universe, of every element. I cannot agree with these laws of men. They are of this thing called confusion, loss of all freedom, rightfully given to us since the beginning of time. It's a war of the minds, a system of injustice that has us programmed to be illusions of past degrees, of Yale doctorates, that has us all in the mental slave system. We eat the blood of the enemy of desperation of our escape. We shape and manifest the insanity of all humanity. I say this to be true. I say this to the one who has never made love to the systematic whores, who has not poisoned the children, who has never denied the verses of the sacred, all in the name of revolution, all in the name of evolution. We are of evolution. I am of evolution, of many sacrificial beings. I change with the tongues that slash the dead. I am of golden wings that seek to be heaven in the dying breed. I am of evolution, of this re-evolution. I am of standard of great martyrs. I am among these lifetimes of angels that now walk among this earth. For they are the ones who will stay while the rest rise. I am of evolution of fetuses being born into the new age of chaos. Their soul is taken before their breath. We are the guardians of life. We are the cries. We are the souls that came before us. We are each other's doorways to freedom. We are and will forever be of this revolution.
Thank you so much, Dean. Well, our last performance is from Jamia Pierre, and she's studying education, and she's going to sing Train Wreck by James Arthur.
Laying in the silence, waiting for the sirens, signs, any signs I'm alive still. I don't wanna lose it, but I'm not getting through this. Hey, should I pray? Should I pray? Yeah. To myself, to a God, to a Savior who can unbreak the broken, unsay these spoken words, find hope in a hopeless, pull me out the train wreck, unburn the ashes, Unchain the reactions, I'm not ready to die, not yet. Pull me out the train wreck. Pull me out, pull me out, pull me out. Pull me out, pull me out. Underneath our bad blood, we still got a sanctum. Home, still a home, still a home here. It's not too late to build it back, 'cause a 1 in a million chance is still a chance, still a chance. And I will take those odds, unbreak the broken, unsay these spoken words, find hope in a hopeless. Pull me out the train wreck, unburn the ashes, unchain the reactions. I'm not ready to die, not yet. Pull me out the train wreck. Pull me out, pull me out, pull me out. Pull me out, pull me out. You can say what you like, don't say I would die for you. I'm down on my knees and I need you to be my God, be my help, be a savior who can unbreak the broken, unsay these reckless words, find hope in a hopeless. Pull me out the train wreck, unburn the ashes, unchain the reactions. Now I'm not ready to die, not yet. Pull me out the train wreck, pull me out, pull me out, pull me out. Pull me out, pull me out, pull me out, yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Yamia. You were wonderful. Now, I would like to thank all the audience for your time and patience. The presenters and performers were wonderful. And before this event ends, my co-host, Mohammed, will provide the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annalene. Before you leave the showcase, I would like you to ask yourself two important questions. What social justice issue grabbed my attention tonight? And what can I do in my own community to work on these issues? Let's give another hand to our wonderful presenters and performers today. You did a great job and thank you so much. And one more thing, please answer the one question survey before you leave. Thank you so much for your attendance.